Today is going to be more of a testimony than a teaching, and my prayer for you is that somewhere in my story you are able to identify in my struggles and able to hear from God in the same way that I have. So lately I have been in what you would call a drought. I have felt just dry and empty and overwhelmed and exhausted, and I just don't have anything left for my husband, for my kids, for my friends, for my church. I have been in this place of worry and anxiety and just overwhelmingness. I kind of feel like I'm stuck in this life tornado, right? Where I'm in the center of this place and I'm still, my entire life is just going around me as fast as it possibly can. And I can kind of see little snippets of it, but there's nothing I can do about it, right? So I've been in this place for a little while now, and I've kind of been checking the boxes and fulfilling all my obligations and not spending time in the Word and not doing those things that I know better that I should be doing. And so a few weeks ago, it was time for the women's retreat. And I should have been really excited to go to the women's retreat. And I wasn't. There was this huge part of me that did not want to go. And I didn't want to admit that to anyone. And I finally broke down and told my husband, what about our kids and what about our life and what about all these things that I have to do, and I just don't want to go and be social and I don't want to talk to people and I just don't have it in me. And bless my husband who said, no, you're going to go and you need to go, and I want you to go and take the quiet time and just come back on fire for God. And so I begrudgingly went to the women's retreat. And it was amazing. Do not get me wrong. The teachings were amazing. Fellowship with my sisters were amazing. The facility, everything was just, beautiful and so well thought out. And the Holy Spirit was so heavy. But while I was there, I was struggling in that same headspace, in that same heart space as I was when I went. And what I found myself doing was occupying all of my quiet time with choices that were kind of selfish choices. I would choose to do something fun rather than spiritual when I knew that I so desperately needed to hear from God. And those are things that I was doing back at home, right? So instead of using my free time, I was sabotaging my free time and filling it with empty stuff. Whereas I could have taken the time and opened my Bible, or I could have taken the time and listened to worship, or I could have taken the time and been obedient. I was filling it with social media, or, I'm just so tired, I'm going to watch TV, instead of, fill in the blank, what I should be doing. And so I'm at the women's retreat, and this same exact thing, the same pattern of behavior is happening there, in the one place that I should have been able to take all that off and get rid of it, right? And so I was telling some friends at the women's retreat that I was having a hard time just finding quiet, right? Finding quiet. And the second night, I'm asleep in the cabin, and bless my cabin mates who had no idea any of this was happening. But God woke me up at 1:30 in the morning in my cabin and said, here's your quiet time, essentially. He picked the absolute perfect moment that he knew I couldn't run away from. I couldn't fill it up with empty. We had no cell phone service in the cabin. There was no internet. It was 1:30 in the morning and pitch black as could be. And I am surrounded by several other sleeping women. So I couldn't even get up and walk around if I wanted to. I couldn't make any noise. I had to lay still in my bed and have a conversation with God. And in that moment, he really challenged me on my faith. See, in Hebrews 11:1, faith is defined as confidence in what we hope for and assurance for what we do not see. I was not confident in my hopes, and I was not assured in the fact that he was there. You see, I was not brought up in the church. I didn't grow up in the church, and I had amazing parents who taught me so many things. I was taught to be self-reliant, and I was taught to be courageous, and I was taught to be confident, and I was taught to have morals, be respectful, and be a good person. But what I was not taught was to rely on something other than myself. I was not taught to seek God first. That's been something that I've struggled with, and I think a lot of us struggle with, right? It's so easy to take your problems and deal with them in the flesh as opposed to giving them to God, right? So I'm laying there in the dark, and God is essentially telling me, where is your faith? Where have you gone? I'm still here. And through kind of this pattern and this thought process, I really had one of those moments where it was just like, you know better. You know better. God is so much bigger than me. I am not enough, but He is. And here I was, stuck in the world, right? Stuck in myself, stuck in the worry, and stuck in the anxiety and finances and medical stuff and health stuff and relationship stuff and I was so wrapped up in myself and so worried about trying to fix all of this myself. I let this whole idea that the world was bigger than He was take over. And that's so very much not the case, right? Yes, the world is big, but He is so much bigger. Then I am not enough, but He is enough, right? No wonder I was failing. Like, I know better. I know better than to rely on myself, because every single time I do, I fail and I wind up in this place again, right? God has some very specific promises for us. And I had let those promises somehow get convoluted along the way. I wasn't paying attention to them. And so I want to talk about a few of those now. So God promises us freedom of sin, right? In 1 Corinthians 10:13, He provides a way out. He's always faithful. God promises provision, right? Matthew 6:25. We're not supposed to worry about what we're going to eat or what we're going to drink or what we're going to wear. God has us covered. He has promised us He will always provide. God also promises us freedom from fear. Joshua 1:9, right? We all know this one. He commands us to be strong and courageous. How had I gotten to that place in the middle of this women's retreat, surrounded by my brothers and sisters? How had I gotten to this place where I couldn't remember those promises? So I want to ask you, are you living in Hebrews 1:11? Do you have confidence in what you hope for? Do you have assurance for those things that you cannot see? Is that a place where your heart is every day? Is that a place where your mind is every day? Are you seeking Him in what you do? Are you taking this flesh problem, this world problem, and saying, I can't do this, God. I'm going to give this to you now. And you're going to help me with this, right? You're going to get me through this. I want to encourage you, if you are sabotaging your free time with stuff, with clutter, to stop. Seek a quiet place. Go to a place where your phone doesn't work. Turn it off. Leave it in the other room, right? Go sit outside in nature. Take a minute. Because if you don't, you're going to wind up where I was, in that deep, dark hole. Okay? If you show up, He's going to be there. You can't just check the boxes. You're not enough, but He is. So church, I encourage you, stop the distractions. Stop trying to do it all on your own. You are not enough, but He is. And at the end of the day, remember that we are to have confidence in what we hope for and assurances for those things that we cannot see. Thank you, church. Love you.